Hello and welcome to episode 2 of What Should I Watch? Today we'll be looking at Netflix's bank-breaking new release, The Grey Man. So, does it pass the test? I'm going to need to give this answer in 2 parts. If you're looking for a heart attack thrill ride where you don't get a chance to breathe, the answer is yes. But on the other hand, if you're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more meaningful, the answer is most definitely no. Stick around to find out why. Welcome back and hello to any newcomers to What Should I Watch? For anyone who doesn't know, in this podcast I'll be looking at new releases across Netflix, Disney and Amazon, as well as the amazing new releases on cinema. I look at films from 3 perspectives. I look at it from an ending perspective, I look at it from a does it change my perspective, and I also look at it from an overall entertainment perspective, because ultimately I think that all ties together what a film is. It's a story. So I'm asking myself, does it tell a story? Does it leave me feeling fulfilled and happy, or whatever emotion the film is trying to make me feel? So let's get into it. The Grey Man, weighing in a whopping £200 million budget. It's safe to say there was a lot of hype around this film. Not only was the £200 million budget a talking point, there was also a huge amount of press, advertising and interviews that went into the film's hype. People are excited to see this film. Ultimately, Netflix has a lot to answer for if they're going to put £200 million on the table on a film. In my personal opinion, it is rather astonishing that a company like Netflix would shell out that much money. But I guess on the other hand, when you look over the road at Amazon and you see they're releasing things like The Rings of Power, that is bound to get a lot of attention. They need to compete. They want to bring something out that's going to get people talking and, really compete with their competitors, or else, they're just going to become irrelevant. The film stars Ryan Gosling, making an appearance for the first time after 5 years away from the screen. The main man is the focal point of the film, starring as an agent who goes on an action-packed journey to be the hero, kill the bad guys and save the girl. I think he's definitely one of my favourite actors of all time. I specifically remember 2 films he appeared in, Drive and The Place Beyond the Pines. If you've not checked out either of those films, I highly recommend that you give them a watch. Gosling has a really amazing presence when he's on the screen. It kind of transcends the screen itself, and you really feel like you are believing everything that he says and everything that he does. So I think his performance in it was very reliable. It wasn't anything like Drive or The Place Beyond the Pines or any other film that he's been nominated for. As an action film, I think it's kind of difficult to bring that out of an actor. However, based on the film that he was in, I think it was really solid. It was interesting to see him in a film like this, because whilst he's been in films that are kind of actiony, it's not really been full-on action, kill. So this was a nice change, and I thought he did really, really well. As his evil counterpart, we had Chris Evans. For those of you who love Captain America, look away now as he changes his colours and turns into a real bad guy for this film. I thought his moustache was a bit ridiculous, however, I did think he actually played quite a good bad guy. Evans is coming off the back of a film that is in the complete opposite spectrum. After becoming the voice of Buzz Lightyear, he now takes an appearance as the bad guy. I mean, his performance was solid, it was pretty good. I don't think there was anything outstanding like Gosling. I think you are kind of constrained in a role like this. I don't think there's much room to be overtly emotional or reactive. However, I did think he did a good job. The film was directed and produced by the Russo Brothers. Some of their more notable films include Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, which might explain why they brought on Chris Evans for this role. Their recent affair with Netflix continues on from the film Extraction, which featured Chris Hemsworth, so this kind of followed in the same footsteps and it plays out kind of how you'd expect. The film is highly predictable. However, what I will give it credit for is that with a lot of action films threaten this world-ending situation that will cause a lot of death or cause a lot of fighting and shooting, and we never really see it happen. For example, who's going to press the red button? They build up to the red button being pressed and then it doesn't actually happen because someone jumps in and saves the day. I find that really boring, and I think action films need to take a risk, and that's what this film does. I think whilst it's not quite world-ending, there's a lot of scenes that are really chaotic, full of carnage, and they don't shy away from that, and I think that's really nice to see. The film hops around the world, which is also really nice. I think that's kind of reminded me of No Time to Die, the most recent James Bond film, which had some amazing set locations. This film kind of plays into that with this sort of globe-trotting feel, where action and carnage kind of follows our main man all around the world. And kind of like Elvis in the previous podcast, this film, if you can, I'm not sure if it is possible really for everyone, but if you can see it on a screen, I would 100% see it in a big screen. I think, like any film, is designed for a big immersive experience, but this one especially, with its action scenes, I think you would be blessed to really see it on a big screen with booming audio. I think that would be amazing. I'd say a couple scenes that stick out in my mind are the opening scene, and there's a scene with a sort of subway / tram train, and there's loads of cars shooting around it, and the build up to that scene is just brilliant. There's a sort of shootout in this square, and it's just amazing. I think it was really fun to watch, and I think that's what's good about this film. If you're in the mood for action and shooting, you know, this will slip back nicely. You'll really enjoy it. But if you're not in the mood for that, that's not your kind of vibe, stay clear, because it's really not anything else. There was a couple of other actors of note within the film. Billy Bob Thornton plays the role of Donald Fitzroy, who is in fact an ally of Ryan Gosling's character. However, he is inadvertently turned into an enemy after Chris Evans' character turns him against him. But the film explains that it is understandable because this character's niece has been held hostage, and it's up to Ryan Gosling to save the girl. I think this is where the film could have done better. I think because there is so much focus on the action, there was a sort of... I think this is where the film could have done a lot better, and it's why it's probably not... The reason being is that there's no real motivation for Ryan Gosling's character to jump in and save the girl. Whilst Gosling's character is an ally of Thornton's character, there's no real allegiance, there's no real background story, and if there is, I kind of missed it, to be honest. I didn't really feel like it was that strong. There was obviously a past working relationship, and there was obviously some sort of bond there, but there was no real sort of relative relationship, and I think that's what it was missing. But in all honesty, because I love action films and because that doesn't really matter to me at times, if I know I'm sitting down for a film that is action-packed, then I'm not going to hold it against the film. I'm not going to say, oh, you could have done that better, because I know what I'm signing up for when I sit and watch a film like this. I think unfortunately for such a big budget film, it is at risk of being a background watcher. I think it's one of these films where you could put it on, you decide to watch it, and within half an hour you're on your phone. Now, for me, I watched it the full way through. I really enjoyed it, and I think it is worth your time, so please don't do that. Please give it your time. But of course, I'm not going to hold it against you, no one will, because at times it does just kind of peter away, and I think that is where the problem is, because if you've not got that underlying emotional motivation, it's really difficult to keep the audience tuned in. You'll look above your phone when the action comes on, and then you go back away from it, and then it stops because there's no real sort of underlying message. And for me, that's what's really frustrating about big budget films. If I look at it from the perspective of this cost $200 million to make, and I could forget about it within a couple months, I don't think that's a job well done, in my opinion. I don't think it's a revolutionary action film. I don't think it's standout by any means. Don't expect it to change your perspective on anything other than to think, wow, these scenes must have cost a lot of money, and trust me, they did. I think it's a bit of a box ticker for Netflix, and it's a real shame. And to be honest, I'm not saying that I have anywhere near the talent that the Russo Brothers have, or any of these actors have. I think they are incredible people and actors, but I just think, for me, if I was given $200 million for a film, I would do it a bit differently. But that's just my opinion, and I still think it's a really enjoyable film, and I'm maybe being a bit harsh. But as I said, the film is incredibly entertaining. There's so much action going on, and it really is a fun watch. So there you have it. Could it have been better? Yes. Should you watch it if you like deep films? No. Definitely go and see it if you love action, because it will not disappoint. Thank you very much for listening and spending some time on the podcast. If you've got any ideas, any suggestions, or any films you think I should talk about, fire away. There's your answer. I will be looking at a lot more new releases to come. There's a couple of exciting films on the horizon. Stay tuned, give us a follow, give us a share, and I will be back for more soon. See you next time.